Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we try to cut through the noise and get to what really matters. So today we're going to dive into a film that, came out back in 1999, The Matrix. And, the tech is, let's be honest, pretty dated now. Phone booths, DOS screens, but it still somehow grabs new generations. It's a classic, no doubt. But why? Why does this, kind of old film still hit so hard?
That's the fascinating thing, isn't it? Because it's really not just a film. It's a deep philosophical journey just wrapped up in this amazing blockbuster package. So our deep dive today is really about pulling back that curtain, looking at the backstage meaning of The Matrix. It's this incredible tapestry, right? Woven with classic symbols, these ancient mythical themes.
Yeah.
Themes that get right to the core questions about, being human.
That's a great way to put it, a philosophical journey. So yeah, our mission today isn't just like, hey, cool movie. It's really about peeling back those layers, seeing how The Matrix echoes these really old philosophical ideas, especially Plato's Allegory of the Cave, and then exploring all the other symbolism packed in there that honestly feels incredibly relevant even today.
Definitely. And to really get that connection, we kind of have to go back to ancient Greece, Plato and his Allegory of the Cave. It's in the Republic, chapter 7.
Yeah.
So picture this. You've got these prisoners chained up in a cave, deep underground. They're facing a wall. Behind them, there's a fire. And people walk past the fire carrying things, statues, objects, and these cast shadows on the wall the prisoners are staring at. Now, these prisoners, they've been there their whole lives. They've never seen anything else. So those flickering shadows, those echoes they hear, that is their reality. It's all they know.
Okay, right. I remember this from philosophy class, vaguely. So prisoners, shadows, fire. How does this old story, this cave, connect to Neo and his whole digital nightmare? The link seems almost too obvious somehow.
It's incredibly direct.
Yeah.
Plato describes what happens when one prisoner gets free. First is confusion, struggle, then the pain, right? Their eyes adjusting to sunlight after a lifetime of darkness, muscles aching because they've never really used them. But then comes this incredible moment, seeing things as they really are, true reality. It's overwhelming joy. And here's the key part. This freed prisoner feels this pull, this compassion to go back into the cave, to try and help the others see the truth too. And that is essentially the core idea in The Matrix. It's a modern take on that ancient journey. From illusion, from the shadows to truth, and the desire to wake others up. And this all hinges on a really fundamental question, one that's echoed through centuries. What actually makes something real? What's the test? You went back to ancient India or Egypt or Greece, they often had this idea. Reality was tied to eternity. What lasts forever, what endures. That's real. Anything that just appears and disappears, that's fleeting. Well, that's more like illusion, like the idea of Maya in some Indian traditions of the world. It's this kind of veil hiding true reality.
Think about it, like when you lose someone close, their body is injured, but where did their mind go? Their love, their imagination? That stuff felt so real. How can something really just stop? It's a question that really sticks with you.
Yeah. And that feels so different from how we often think today, doesn't it? In our, pretty materialistic world. For us, reality is mostly validated by the senses, right? If I can touch it, see it, hear it, then okay, it's real. Things we can't perceive directly, like, I don't know, a spiritual dimension, that often gets pushed into the realm of theory or maybe just belief. So thinking about that contrast, what does this mean for you listening right now? How do you decide what's real?
Well, the ancient wisdom suggests that if we spend our whole lives chasing these shadows, the superficial stuff, status, possessions, things that don't last, it often leads to this feeling of emptiness, a lack of real happiness, maybe even confusion about who we really are. True understanding, or realization, they'd say, comes from looking for what's permanent, what's real inside yourself, and inside the world around you, beyond the surface. Like, consider your own life. Think about how different your view of the world was as a child compared to now. Your perspective changes constantly. Yet isn't there some part of you, some unchanging observer that's been watching this whole film of your life unfold? So maybe this world of shadows, this matrix, isn't just a trap. Maybe it's also like a language. Symbols we need to decode to find a deeper meaning.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like the world is trying to tell us something if we learn how to read it. And the film itself is just packed with these symbols, right? Even the title. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Absolutely. The name matrix itself, it comes directly from Latin, from uterus, which stems from mater, meaning mother. So the idea is that this physical world, this matrix, it kind of gives birth to our physical experience. It gives us this biological vehicle, almost like a robot, to navigate life. The danger, though, is when we start identifying only with the vehicle, becoming its prisoner, forgetting we're the driver. It's like having a fancy car. Its purpose is to take you places, right? Not just to be polished and admired in the garage forever. You're supposed to use it. You are not the car. And you see this symbolism visually, too. Think about Neo's look. The black clothes, the dark glasses, it's not just about looking cool, though it definitely does. Black symbolically absorbs light. It doesn't reflect the illusions, the flashy surfaces of the Matrix. And the dark glasses, they're like protection, shielding him from the glare, the lights of the illusory world. It signifies this refusal to be blinded, to buy into the fake reality, or to project those illusions himself. He's choosing not to see the surface level.
Wow, okay. So it's not just fashion. Every detail is pointing toward this idea of seeing beyond, of starting something new. And his name, Neo, that feels deliberate too.
Oh, completely deliberate. Neo means new or renewed. He represents this potential for a new kind of human, someone breaking away from the programmed existence. And then, of course, the anagram. Rearrange the letters of Neo, yet one, as in the chosen one. Even his full name, Thomas Anderson, is loaded. Thomas traditionally means something like one prepared to see, or even doubting, like doubting Thomas who needed proof. And Anderson means son of man, or sometimes interpreted as son of courage. So he's literally named as someone ready to question to see the truth, and who has the courage to actually pursue it. He's tired of just surviving. He wants more. And remember that first message he gets. Wake up, Neo. Follow the White Rabbit. That's a direct shout out to Alice in Wonderland, isn't it? The White Rabbit is the guide, the bridge pulling Alice out of her ordinary world and into somewhere else entirely. Neo being a hacker fits perfectly too. He's already someone trying to look behind the curtain, trying to crack the code to see what makes the system tick.
Right, he already has that itch, that feeling something's not quite right with the world. It's like this fundamental restlessness. I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling, that sense that there must be something more.
Exactly. And that feeling that something is wrong here, you see it in the Truman Show too, right? Plato would say that's the spark, that inquietude, that curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the birth of philosophy, is the desire to understand why. Why do these patterns keep happening in my life? Why do I always pick the slowest checkout line? Why do I repeat the same mistakes? It's like the universe is nudging you, using these patterns to ask bigger questions. And this naturally leads him to that iconic choice, the red pill or the blue pill. And this is huge. It's not just a cool movie moment. It's the moment of choice,
right,
of taking initiative. It represents that first real conscious step onto the path of discovery. You have to choose to seek the truth. Do you want the comfortable lie or the potentially difficult truth? It's a fundamental decision about reality.
And making that choice, taking the red pill, throws him into contact with these other huge figures, Trinity and Morpheus. Let's unpack their symbolism.
Okay, Trinity. When Neo connects with her, her name itself is a massive clue. It references the sacred number 3. In so many ancient traditions, 3, like the triangle, the pyramid represents the core human essence, often seen as will, love, and intelligence. You see it in the Christian Trinity. You see triads in Egyptian mythology like Isis, Osiris, Horus, the Indian Trimurti. It's a foundational pattern. So Trinity embodies these essential qualities. She provides the guidance, the connection, like Ariadne giving Theseus the thread to escape the labyrinth. She helps Neo navigate this new, confusing reality. And then you have Morpheus. He's the classic archetype, isn't he? The master, the guide who helps the hero on their journey. You see that figure everywhere in mythology. His name comes from the Greek god of dreams. So it connects to illusion, mystery, but also transformation. He acts as a psychopomp. That's a term for a guy who helps souls cross between worlds. Like the red pill he offers, he's the bridge. He can take you from one dimension of reality to another, deeper one.
So it sounds like Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus.
Yep.
They're not just a team, they actually form their own kind of symbolic whole.
Exactly. You've got it. Together, they represent that complete set of attributes needed to break free.
Yeah.
Neo, the one, the seeker. Trinity, the essential core, love, intelligence. And Morpheus, the guide, the will, the wisdom. It's like you need that combination of the will to seek, the intelligence and love to understand, and the courage to act, to truly escape the illusions of the Matrix and live, authentically.
And Morpheus has that incredibly resonant line, "The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room." That line just stops you in your tracks. It forces you to look around. So bringing it back to the listener, what does that mean for you, hearing this now in your everyday life?
Well, I think it suggests that the Matrix isn't just a sci-fi concept. It represents all the constant noise, the distractions, the things that alienate us, that are put in front of our eyes, specifically to stop us from looking deeper. Think about modern shadows, the constant pressure for status, the endless cycle of needing the newest phone, the latest fashion, which, if you watch long enough, just repeats itself anyway. It's designed to create anxiety and desire, keep you chasing. I once saw a car dealership slogan, no joke, that said, "We know how to fill your inner void."
That's the Matrix talking. It's this manipulation of appearances to keep us busy, entertained, and crucially distracted from asking those bigger questions. And the machines in the film, the AI, they're also symbolic. They represent our own tendency towards mechanization, towards living an artificial life. We can fall into this sort of programmed existence: birth, school, work, reproduce, die. Just following the script without much originality or depth. It's like we develop this very utilitarian mindset. We know how to do things very efficiently, but we forget to ask why we're doing them. What's the actual purpose? We risk becoming just
Batteries, like in the film, powering a system of illusions without understanding it. But then there's Zion. The film calls it the last human city, the bastion of wisdom. Symbolically, Zion represents that inner center, our core essence, like the idea of the Temple of Solomon, or the oracle's cave at Delphi in ancient times, a place of inner truth. The people in Zion are connected to their true selves. They're trying to be producers of their reality, not just products of the system. So Zion stands for that inward journey, seeking wisdom inside yourself, finding your own identity, not just accepting what the external world tells you.
Right. And Neo's journey isn't passive. He doesn't just download the truth. He has to go through trials, right? It's about action, putting what he learns into practice.
absolutely critical. It's not just about knowing, it's about doing. Take the oracle, for instance. Her name, Oracle, comes from os, meaning mouth, like a small mouth or small exit. She represents that quiet inner voice, the intuition that whispers questions about our reality, about what we really want. Neo has to actively choose to go see her, turn the doorknob himself. That symbolizes the willingness to seek wisdom, even if it's uncomfortable or risky. And her setting, the kitchen, that's often linked to alchemy, transformation, turning lead into gold, or in this case, transforming consciousness. And the child bending the spoon, that's like nascent wisdom, potential, a hint of the mind's power over matter. When she tells Neo he's not the chosen one, well, not yet, maybe the next life, that's profound. It means his old self, his old consciousness has to die. He needs to be reborn into a higher state of awareness to fulfill his potential. And then you have Cypher. He's the perfect contrast to Neo. Cypher makes the opposite choice. He chooses the illusion, the juicy steak, even though he knows it's not real, because it's pleasurable. He represents the sophist view. Maybe that pleasure is the goal. Truth doesn't matter as much as comfort. He embodies someone who hasn't found their own identity, so he's happy to just be a number plugged back into the machine. He prefers that safe mediocrity over the frightening, uncertain path of truth. He actively chooses ignorance because it feels better. Morpheus warns Neo about the agents, but also about everyone still plugged in. He says anyone still asleep is potentially an agent. They're like unconscious soldiers of Maya, the goddess of illusion in Hindu texts. They aren't necessarily evil, but they protect the status quo. They try to pull you back into conformity, into accommodation, often because they fear the unknown. They defend the familiar, even if it's limiting. It's a powerful force, that desire for things to just stay the same. Then Neo faces his first really big test, saving Morpheus. Morpheus, remember, represents wisdom. Neo has to risk everything, his safety, his comfort, maybe even his life to save wisdom. This shows that you only truly attain wisdom when you value it above all else, when you love it more than your own security. You have to honor it with action, with courage.
It's a commitment. Which brings us right back to that line Morpheus says later. There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. It's all about coherence. Do your actions actually match your beliefs? It's one thing to say, I know the exit is through that door. It's another thing entirely to actually stand up and walk through it. Real wisdom isn't just head knowledge. It has to be lived, embodied. Otherwise, you're just collecting information, not actually changing your life or your understanding.
And that path eventually leads Neo to the ultimate test, doesn't it? Facing the limits of reality itself, facing death.
Yes, the final and perhaps most profound challenge, the illusion of death. There's a line in the Bhagavad Gita, the ancient Indian text, that says something like, that which is cannot cease to be, that which is not cannot come into being. Essentially, what's truly real is eternal. What just appears and disappears. That's the shadow. Morpheus explains this in the context of the Matrix. Your mind makes it real. If you believe you can die in the Matrix, even if your physical body is safe elsewhere, your mind can make that death happen. Because, as he says, the body cannot live without the mind. The universe, in this sense, is mental. So Neo's final test is when he fully truly gets this. He internalizes that he's not fundamentally of that illusory world. When Agent Smith shoots him and he falls, he doesn't truly die. Because at the deepest level, he now knows his essential self isn't contained within that illusion. He's just a projection there, a shadow. And by overcoming that belief in the reality of death within the Matrix, he becomes, in a way, immortal within that system. He breaks its ultimate rule. And right after that, after conquering death, he ascends, he flies. This is the ultimate symbol, isn't it?
The ascension of consciousness, rising above the limitations of the material world, above ignorance, achieving a kind of immortality, not just physically, but in terms of awareness. He proves it's possible.
not just for him, but potentially for everyone, to transcend these illusions, even the biggest one, death itself. He becomes the living proof of freedom.
Wow. It really lands differently when you break it down like that. The Matrix isn't just sci-fi action. It's this incredibly profound modern myth carrying these ancient, timeless truths about philosophy, reality, and our own potential.
It really is. And that search, the philosophical search, it's always been about that, hasn't it? Seeing past the appearances, understanding who we truly are beneath the surface, and hopefully thinking about these ideas brought to life so vividly in a film like this can maybe help you navigate your own life, your own matrix, whatever that looks like for you. Give you a bit more clarity, maybe more purpose.
Absolutely. So here's something to maybe chew on after this. If the world around you in some ways operates like a matrix of illusions, of distractions, of programmed expectations, how might recognizing that actually change things for you? How might it change your choices, your understanding of what's real, and ultimately, maybe even your own path, your own journey of transcendence?